Hey everyone, we're live again. We just posted, Robbie just posted the link. So if you want to join us, um,
Yes.
yeah, you have the link over there. But who am I talking to? You already joined us if you're here. Um,
Perfect.
anyways, this is really fun, guys. Now we're seeing the progress, and we are amazed by how capable some people are here. So let me just make sure I refresh it and get the last picture, which
Wow.
looks,
Okay. We got the final. Wow. That's the perfect timing, Itzik.
yeah,
So this is
that is
so
great.
awesome, right? So we are now 4 hours into the challenge, and we see that we have three people who have solved everything, and that is just amazing. So quickly, I want to give a small round of applause for these three amazing people. So in the first place, we have Jorian. He is a Dutch student, and he solved it within, I think, 2.5 hours. Is that correct? It's
That is, yeah,
insane.
that is even less than 2.5 hours.
That is just incredible. Now, he told me he is part of the national hacking team of the Netherlands, so he's clearly a very, very smart guy. That's amazing. And in second place, we have Felipe, who was just about a little less than half an hour slower, but still managed to solve all the challenges, which is still insane. He's from Switzerland, if I'm not wrong, and also part of the Swiss national hacking team. So a great guy as well. And then in the third place, we have our solver. He came in with that solve like a minute ago or 2 minutes ago. That's incredible. Paisuru, you did amazing. And he was telling me that he had never worked with the code or with the tools of the last challenge. The last challenge has an Android APK that you have to reverse engineer. And he had never ever seen that stuff before, but still was able to solve that challenge within a couple of hours' time. So I think that's just amazing. Like in a
Really?
pen test, you might spend like a full day on that, and he just did it in like 2 hours. So incredible stuff. Congratulations to that top three. We also have a lot of runners up, people with 5 solves. I see a bunch of people there, like at least 4 people with 5 solves.
Mhm.
You guys are also doing incredible. And then I hope that you can also get that last solve in. And then if we scroll down the scoreboard, we see a bunch of other cool people with 3 solves, 4 solves.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Every solution matters. And as you can see here, 40 odd people were able to solve something. So don't give up. You still have 2 hours to go. There's a lot you can do in 2 hours. While you're probably not going to make it to the first three, but it is really fun and it is really challenging and it is worth it. So
definitely.
we still have a third of our time left, 2 hours. Use that time, try to solve it before the game is over. Again, as Robbie mentioned before, we are going to open it up for others, to for you as well, to continue to solve probably a couple of days later. But for this game, it's going to end at the top of the hour at 4 p.m. here Eastern time. And yeah, that's when we're going to determine our first three and the positions. So that is really great. We're really having fun. I think the next thing we want to do is, last time we kind of like talked about challenge number one, provided some mini hints and a walkthrough. I think what we want to do is now talk maybe a little bit about challenge number two. I see some competition between challenge number two and three. I see maybe three, potentially three. They're both two peppers, so potentially three is slightly easier. I don't know. I just see a little bit more solvers, 29 here and only 24 here. So let's talk about number two and see what it does. Okay. So first of all, let me say this. This is based off of real world scenario, right? This is something I personally experienced, and this is code that actually exists in the wild. Obviously, trimmed down version and a very specific kind of like a condensed version. But what it does, it's a gateway, where you have a gateway where you have some sort of an entry point which invokes other APIs at the backend. And this gateway is also authenticating the requests. And there's a list of functions that require authentication. Again, trimmed down, there are only two methods here that require authentication. And they all should go through call API, because you can't go directly into those APIs because they are hidden behind, or they're local, right? You can't go straight into get user. You can't go straight into get companies, because if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that they are local, and only if you're a local host you're able to invoke them. Okay, so the only way to do that is through the gateway, and that gateway is gating the two methods, get user and get company, by kind of like validating that the API that you want to invoke is actually in that list. So if require authentication includes the API you're trying to invoke or the endpoint, then it first authenticates you. Very simple method of authentication, but you probably won't be able to bypass. And then it invokes the local host method, gets the response, and sends back the response. Very simple, very simple. However, there's an else part here, which is if the method does not require authentication, those are unauthenticated APIs, and it will be straightly invoked here without having to authenticate the token. Okay, so that is only one method here that is left, which is, in this case, again, trimmed down version. It's a CRM entities, which is open for all, no need for authentication. It returns that. That won't get you the flag because that's an open API. What you need to do is to get into what the requirements here is. You need to get a user record of a specific Augusta Gloops record, and you need to get their secret, which is on that record. And to do that, you need to invoke get user, and you don't have the token. So you need to figure out a way to bypass the authentication and get to this method, okay? And just note, there is some validation here that is trying to protect from any bypass. All you need to do is figure out a way to bypass it. That's it.
And this code here, I think this is one of the best challenges that we have, because it's something that we see so often in real life scenarios. Companies are constantly changing from an old system to a new system. Companies are constantly buying other companies and pulling huge APIs into their code base, and then it all has to be changed behind their own authentication system. And there's so much stuff going on in the background there. So if you're a developer, then you've definitely come across these situations where you kind of have to patch another thing into your code and make calls to it, and authentication flow gets a bit foggy. If you're a hacker, well, this is something you want to test on during pen tests. So I think this challenge is definitely great for like both sides to kind of learn and to bring both sides closer, so that these bugs don't pop up in the future. But with that, I also kind of wanted to ask, in Discord, on LinkedIn, or in any chats on the live streams, are you a hacker or are you a developer? And if you're playing the event, let us know and tell us, hey, I'm a developer and I'm playing the event, or I'm a hacker and I'm playing the event. That would be really cool. So we can kind of get some interaction there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think one of the cool things about what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring together hackers and developers to kind of like have that conversation. And we're seeing kind of like a balance where developers tend to be able to read and understand business logic and code very well, and hackers understand the methods of kind of like how to bypass certain validations and so forth very well. So kind of like try to equalize, maybe bring hackers a little bit more to the code level, and bring developers a little bit more to the hackers level, where I think our overall level will become better as a group. We just become better by interacting and by this fruitful conversation between the two kind of like ideas.
Yeah, and I see Salt in the chat saying that he thought challenge number 2 was trivial, and he found challenge number 3 quite difficult. Like, this kind of shows everybody has their own skill sets, and maybe that will depend on if you're a hacker. You might find challenge 3 easier or more difficult, or I found challenge 3 easier than challenge 2, because as a hacker, like XSS, that's what we do every day. I fully understand it. I can totally. But with challenge 2, you actually need to understand the code to solve it, which makes that maybe more difficult for hackers, but easier for developers, because understanding code is kind of what they do. So yeah, those kind of differences are really interesting to us.
Right. Exactly. And I think you put your finger right on what it is. I think developers are more used to reading code, understanding business logic and business and code flow, especially if you're involved in cross reviews and so forth, and you're reading others' code. You're like, okay, this is going here, then it does that, and then this is what it does here. So you're trained to think about code all the time, and it's easier for you to figure out things like challenge number 2, where again, it's a business logic fault here and kind of like almost a bug, right? Whereas this here is still a bug. I mean, every security issue is a bug. It's unintended behavior that is doable, it is possible. So it's always a bug. But in this case, it's more like a very well-known technique that you can apply. Maybe it's a little tricky and you need to think about bypasses and other things. But at the same time, it's something that really hackers are more trained to do. So I totally agree with your observation, Robbie, here. Okay, so again, a reminder, we have that thingy here. This is great. Use it more. And even if you're not signed up to the Discord channel, you either sign up or you can even post here as a guest. So just as an FYI, this exists here. And Robbie and I especially, during the time of the event, there's still almost 2 hours left. We're happy to answer questions. And if you want to share with us a payload and you can't figure out and you're stuck, you can't figure out what to do next, we can give you a hint and so forth. Okay. Anything else, Robbie, you think we should talk about?
I think that in 2 hours we'll be back when the CTF finishes. So you still have 1 hour, 15 minutes to hack all these challenges. Then we will be back for another live stream. In that live stream, we'll announce the winners, which will be quite anticlimactic. But we will also go over the challenges. We'll discuss them. We'll maybe talk about some solutions. We won't go in depth into every solution, but kind of talk about the challenges, discuss them a bit. So if you have any questions, write them down, and in the next live stream we can answer all your questions on the challenges and all that. So yeah, we hope to see you there and that you have 2 more hours of hacking fun. That's the goal.
Absolutely, yeah. And so at 4 p.m. you're probably going to see the winners, but formally announcing them is tomorrow, because we want to just make sure that really everything was right and inserted properly. So the formal announcement is tomorrow, but you'll be able to see who's winning already. You are already seeing that. So that won't come as a surprise, but definitely at 4 we can review together and get a little more deeper into those challenges and kind of like talk about them. That's what we'll do it for. And obviously, thank you very much for participating in this game, and we're having fun. I hope you are too. So yeah, with that, I think we can break and
yes.
see you again at the end of the challenge. Use the time to solve more.
All right, take care and good luck, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.